It starts with you and me. Then we create a community, bringing you a new point of view. Him and her spaces.
Right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome once again to another episode of Him and Her Talk Space, where we have two coaches, one space, zero reservations. I am your resident Him coach, certified life coach, certified psychoanalyst, and cognitive behavioral specialist, Chad Nails, and as always, my fantastic co-host,
Nini Wyndham. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
You make me sound bad, Chad. You have all these certificates and this and that. I'm like, it's
listen.
Nini.
That's another talk that we can have now.
It's Nini.
Later.
Yes.
Yeah, it's me, Chad.
I have stuff. I just don't talk.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
it's me. Oh yeah, it's Nini.
Yeah. No, I have stuff. I just.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, y'all know how we do.
Yeah.
As always, saying fine hello and how do you do to our Talkspace faithful forum. Everybody that's come in, and of course your numbers will grow over the course of the show and everything like that. Glad to have you guys with us to open up the dialogue and some discourse on this subject, which is trust after betrayal. Is it possible? We unfortunately can encounter instances where those that we trust may cross the line and betray us in some way. What can we do to recover, and can we build trust again with those people who have broken those bonds? And that is tonight's conversation. And of course, we're looking at it as something to be useful for our not only ourselves but for the Black community at large, which is the focus of what we do here. So, throwing the first question out here. We don't waste any time here. Throwing the first question out here. What are some ways that we can experience betrayal? Let's get a baseline for it. What are some ways that we can experience betrayal?
Like infidelity.
There's one.
Mm-hmm. Let me see what else. I'm thinking, betrayal also, like in any type of, relationship or, family relations, friendship, is a one-sidedness. And it's like, we can't talk about betrayal when we have to talk about some personality traits. Like we have to include narcissism, people who are empathetic to, you have people out there who go above and beyond each and every time for, people that they care for, but that's never reciprocated back. And, at some point there is a resentment that builds, because when you do need help or you're in a bind, everybody goes ghost on you and nobody shows up for you. So that, in a way, it may not be like a deep betrayal, but it's a betrayal regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Good points there. Excellent examples that you're putting out there. Any other examples that we want to throw out there?
I would say, like within a friendship, what's the word I'm looking for? Some forms of gossiping, like where you're, talking about people, not necessarily like just telling my thing is, if you're telling the truth about a thing, that's not necessarily gossiping. But if you're like talking bad about something, or like, just saying things that you wouldn't say to the person or whatever, I think that could be a form of betrayal for that friend, lover, whoever, family.
Oh, yeah. I would extend that to actually a previous show that we did on the whole the bro code and the girl code that we did last season. And any perceivable set of standards or expectations that somebody that has some relative sense of closeness to you that crosses those lines and just has you like, yo, what are you doing? Even in whether it's just a momentary lapse in judgment or whether it was intentional, it just has you look at them like, yo, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? Why would you think that that's okay? And of course, in the case where it's accidental, it could be a momentary lapse in judgment. It's still a crossing of the lines. It might not be viewed as an absolute betrayal. It could be. And that just depends on what your evaluation of it is and how much weight you place on it. But yeah, definitely I thought about the bro and girl code that the quote unquote agreed upon standards that friends are supposed to have. I also thought about what happens in work environments. We see it in some of the dramas on TV where it's like, they'll manipulate some work environment issue in order to be more heavily considered for the promotion over somebody else, and this, that, and the third. So it happens there, and you could act like you're their friend, and then you pull this stunt, and it's like, oh well, they offered the partnership to me instead of you, and you did something dirty to have them to get it. And that's a real thing. That's a very real thing too. Especially if it's somebody that you thought you had a certain level of closeness to, or a certain level of bonding with, and that can break it. That can break your perception of that, and that can be hard to deal with. So excellent examples of betrayal that are out there. Anybody else want to throw anything? We are monitoring the chats as always. So if anybody wants to throw any other examples out there, monitor the chats, and the mic is open for you.
I mean, anytime you're disloyal, that's a form of betrayal. Everybody holds someone to a certain standard. And when it's not about, okay, you have to fulfill certain credentials, but loyalty is one of those things. If you say you got me, I'm going to trust that you got me. I don't need to question that. But if your actions say otherwise, then there's a problem. Now I can't really lean on you the way I thought I could. So now, with that being said, is that now I have to watch you because you're unpredictable. I don't know what's about to happen. I don't know what's being said. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know how you really feel. So now I gotta have my guard up around you, which nobody really likes to be in that position. So I just rather cut you off. There's no need to continue this relationship or friendship or this family ties. Like, I cannot trust you. I can't, be around someone that I don't feel secure with. So I have to cut you loose. It's been real, but this is where we're at right now. And they're gonna be like, no, it's not like that. No, you're acting funny, and I'm not gonna deal with that.
And that can absolutely be the initial reaction that we're actually going to go into with this next question that we have. What are some of the short and long-term effects of it?
It depends on what position that person held in your life. Was it a mother, father, brother, best friend, sister, lover? Each of them have their different levels, I guess. Betrayal from and believe. A lot of people think that parents can't betray their kids, but yes, they can, and they have. And it's a conversation. It's funny. I had this conversation with, and I did put a post up about it. When your children tell you something in confidence, it is not for you to turn around to tell the whole family, because now what ends up happening is they don't feel comfortable coming to you. And now here's where secrets is going to start to come in.
Right.
And then instead of coming to you, they're going to go to somebody else who they're not supposed to be going to. And they're going to listen to that person give them advice, which could be, real bad for them, because you decided to not take them seriously enough to keep your mouth shut. And that's a huge thing with especially when you have a growing child and they're starting to become teenagers. Confidentiality is huge. They don't want you, even if you say it in a joking manner, they don't want you blabbing your mouth to Aunt Shirley,
right.
Uncle James. Just keep it between the both of you. And I as far as I'm concerned, I was very fortunate because both of my parents were very private people. So anything we did say, it never left the confines of their bedroom, but you would hear like other family members talk about their kids, talk about what's going on in their marriage, what's going on at school. And my mother really, when I used to hear, she never used to respond. And I used to ask her, I said, Mom, why you never put in your 2 cents? And she would respond, because they're not supposed to be doing that. First of all, I'm not in that family. And second of all, they're not supposed to be doing that. And she said a lot of the stuff that's being told to her is extremely deep. And even then, my mom respected their privacy because she would never reveal details to me. I'm like, so Mom, what happened? You've been on the phone for 2 hours. What happened? She would talk around it, but I never really knew it because that's how she grew up, because my grandmother was the same way. But a lot of these parents out here, they make fun of their children's, shortcomings, and they don't really take it seriously. And that's how a lot of kids grow up to be extremely isolated. This is the long-term effects. They become isolated. They join the wrong crowd. They try to find a family in a different group because that group is showing them the trust that their parents didn't give them, that they couldn't get from their parents. They start confiding in older, for girls, older men, for boys, older women, their teacher, look at all these, and I know I'm kind of digressing a little bit. Look at all these, sick molestation cases that's happening in the schools with these teachers. At some point, that child, there was a very personal conversation that took place that shouldn't have taken place. That shouldn't have taken place, that they could not discuss with their parents. And this is how they got there. And the teacher blatantly took advantage of a situation. This is what you don't want for your children. You want your children to be able to come to you with everything. Trust begins at home. You teach that at home. And then when they go out into the world, they understand what trust is. They understand what loyalty is. They understand what, confidentiality is. Because nobody wants, and this is how gossip begins. Nobody wants their stuff in these streets, in the wrong people, in wrong people's mouths, wrong people's ears, and that is a form of betrayal, a very bad one at that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cut in right there with all of those wonderful examples that you just gave, and set a little bit of a baseline for a little bit of a foundational baseline for this. When we talk about trust, of course, we have a working knowledge of what trust is. I want to dip into my coach bag a little bit, and actually go into a little bit of what trust is founded upon. At the foundation of trust, you have two components that make up. It's like you add this, and that's how you get trust. There's the sense of reliability, which is when you engage with the thing that you have trust in. There is a measure of, when I come to you requiring this of you, this is what I get from you. When I'm saying I need this, if I'm saying I need you to be discreet with our conversations, or I need you to be confidential with our conversations, and you give me that discreetness, or you give me that confidentiality, that contributes to the reliability factor of trust. The other part of that is the consistency factor, which is anytime I do come to you requiring this. All right, so that one is a utility thing, and then one is a frequency thing. So it's like, whenever I come to you, I get this from you, and this is what I'm requiring from you. And then anytime I come to you, that is what happens, and that is what I get, and that is how trust gets established. All right, and that's across the board for anything, right? That could be lover, friend, coworker, parent, you name it. You child goes to their parent and say, "Can I talk to you and have you not judge me on this, that, and the third?" And the parent says, "Yes." When they're asking, "Can you do this?" they are asking for the reliability factor. And then the next time they come back, they're saying, "Well, can you do this again? Can you do this again? I need to talk to you. Can you do this again?" And the parent says yes, and they're able to deliver on that. That contributes to the confidence, to the consistency factor of it. Reliability plus consistency equals trust. All right. That's how it gets established. That's how it gets built up. Right. So each of those efficient or effective or positive experiences is what builds the foundation for the person to be able to say, "Yes, I trust this person. Yes, they are trustworthy." Why? Because I get what I need when I go to them, and I get what I need every time I go to them. So that's that. And then when there is a break in that, depending on the nature of the break and how much you value reliability, consistency, and then trust in that regards, that is what leads to the level of betrayal that they can find. It might be something. It could be something minor. It's like, okay, they slipped up, and they've also showcased subsequently that they can still be reliable, and they're building back up on the consistency. Because one of two things happens. It's either a break in reliability where they no longer offer, or a break in consistency where it's both. I can't get what you, where I can't get what I'm asking for from you. That's a break in reliability. Or you become off and on, where it's like, sometimes I come to you and you're able to give it, and then sometimes I'm not, and that's a break in consistency. And either one of those. And in the cases where it's both, where neither are you no longer reliable, and you've consistently shown yourself to not be reliable, that is probably the hardest hitting version of betrayal. That's probably the hardest hitting break in trust. So I want us to kind of have an understanding of that, where it's not just the trust in a general sense, but also understanding the components of trust and being able to better frame what's happening to us when we encounter that.
Can I cut in for 1 second? And a lot of people also don't understand, when you betray someone, you're also betraying yourself. You're getting cut from both sides. Because when that person decides they no longer want to deal with you, you can no longer reach out to them for anything. It's like, that is it. There is no, and I'm going through a situation at home. I'm going to give you a little bit. My mom passed away, as you know, like 3 years ago, and I'm having a situation with my brother right now, and it's our dynamic has changed incredibly. It's just one of those things where I know he's my blood brother, but I just don't know. So many things have happened, so many responsibilities have fallen on my shoulders, and he just looks at me and doesn't offer help. It did come to a head, and I let him know, because my mom left me executor of her estate. I came to find out a lot of things, like right before she died, and more so after she passed away, and this is going to lead into upbringing. It's going to lead into treating your children as equals. Like I said, I'm not getting, we both still live in the house, and I'm getting absolutely no help from him. Once I can ask, I could beat, nothing. And I feel like he's kind of resentful. Like, people have told me, I think he's trying to sabotage you to get you to lose the house. So that's where we are. I can barely speak to him. I literally and that's just who I am. That's why I said what I said earlier about, okay, if I can't lean on you, what are you there for? Mm-hmm. We don't have nothing to say. We don't have, I don't want you around.
Right.
So does the bare minimum. When I go into an uproar, that's the only time he'll get a little proactive, because I did threaten him with eviction. I said, you can easily be paying market rent at $2,200 per month. And what he did, and I think, we can't sleep on, there possibly can be some type of mental issue going on. Because he walked out on his job. He claimed it was for the vaccine, but it's just so deep. I mean, it would have to be something that we have to speak more of off the show, but it's just too deep for me to handle. But imagine, and again, the betrayal, the okay, I can't look to you. I can't even borrow $50 from you.
Right.
Because it's just bad, and we're not in a good space. I mean, I know he thinks things are okay, but deep inside me, they're not. They're not, because I said, I know my mom created 2 kids. She would not want them to be at opposite ends. That wasn't her life. That's not how she was raised. My mom loved her family. She wanted everybody together. But this to be done is kind of hurtful to me also. Mm-hmm. But I don't mind losing him either. I mean, if I told him, I said, if I never spoke to you again, I'd be fine with it. So, and, because, and that's because when I speak for myself, I go above and beyond for if I have it, you're going to have it. You're not going to be hungry if I'm around. You're not going to be homeless. I'll figure out a way. Believe that. I will figure out a way. And Chad, we've had these conversations before. Yes. I've had multiple family members who, oh my God, my car got towed. It's 2:00 in the morning and they need $1,400. Here I go, getting out the bed, 2:30 in the morning, running to the ATM. Let's get this car out.
I'm gonna catch you right there. You actually said something interesting that I wanted to use to segue into the next portion here, which is what are some ways that we can recover from the betrayal? Because we've very firmly established how it can happen and the effects of it, which is exactly what the point was for it. Now, how do we, on the flip side of that, on the positive side of that, how do we recover from it? And that's something that I want to open up to. I'm throwing that out to everybody. What are some other examples of how we can recover from that?
Bro, I would tell you prayer. Prayer, but honestly, and this is just only my opinion, that's a permanently broken bridge. You can't even reconstruct that. It's like, just leave it alone and move on.
For other examples of betrayal that people have experienced, what are some ways that we can recover?
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry. Oh.
For other examples of betrayal that we have, what are some other ways that we can?
I think, and I always go back to this. Y'all know what I'm gonna say. I think that effective communication, because at some point people, and it may sound silly, but sometimes people don't know that what they did or what they're doing is you're viewing that as a betrayal, right? I think that if you bring to light to the person, like, hey, you did this, you said this hurt my feelings, or this was my feeling towards you saying that could rectify a lot of things in it, and then you can go from there. Like, you can move on from there. I think sometimes.
What does that do for you?
Say that again.
What does that do for you personally, being able to do that?
For
like,
me,
can you repair
that I felt betrayed by, or being the betrayer, not knowing?
No, feeling betrayed by the person. Like, what does being able to have the effective communication do for you personally?
Well, I think that it could kind of even the ground for you. Like, so where you're feeling that you were betrayed, if you have effective communication and it turns out that it wasn't that at all, or it was not intentional, then that could, move the relationship, whether that's a friendship or a romantic relationship, a parent-child relationship, to a newer level or a brand new level. I don't think that every single betrayal, whether that betrayal is being stabbed in the back, whatever that means or whatever that looks like, will end or has to end up in a ending of a relationship, right? Not every betrayal has to end a relationship. There's been times where I'm pretty sure I've betrayed people, and there have been times where I've felt betrayed or been betrayed, and if you have that conversation, that could fix the relationship or not. I've had friendships ended. I had a friend that I was best friends with since elementary school, and to this day, I don't know why the friendship ended. I really don't. Like, I know that there was where she had gotten married, and from my understanding, we were like best friends from the time we were in elementary school, but I wasn't invited to the wedding. Do I know why? No. I found out from a hairdresser that we shared that she came there to get her hair done, and she was getting her hair done for her wedding. That's how I found out about the wedding. Mind you, we were best friends since elementary school. So so do what if we not? And for me, the type of person I am, if we went back and had a conversation about it, even now to today, and we talk about it, I could say, okay, well, fine. You were feeling this type of way, whatever I did to make you feel this type of way, let's talk about it. And I could go back and be okay being her friend again. I don't have
but Nee, okay. Is it
ever really the same relationship? Let's be honest here. Is it ever like before you found out she crossed you? Is you when you go back, it's never the same. That's why I don't feel like it's even worth it.
I mean, some relationships,
I think
and
some
I've
of them
had,
are worth it.
yeah, I think some of them are worth it. And there are also relationships where there was another friend who, when we were in college together and there was some betrayal there, are we still friends? Yes. Do I move differently with her? Yes. So there's just that, you know, we're still friends, but I now know who I'm dealing with and we just move different. That doesn't mean we have to end the friendship. It's just that certain things that I would trust you with, or certain conversations we would normally have had, I won't have those conversations because I know what is done in the past.
I learned that the level of reliability when it does happen, I learned that, and these are for the ones that I have been able to salvage, and I've actually been able to salvage quite a few in my own particular life. Do I need it to be exactly the same? I don't think that's realistic thinking, because it happened. There's no change in the fact that it happened.
Right.
Does my level of reliability change with them? To a degree, yeah. Can they work back up to that by demonstrating the reliability and the consistency? I would say almost. Why? Because there's the very real evidence that I know that you're capable of faltering. And when I say that, I mean that in the case of just being a human being. Nobody's like 100% on point all the time. That's just that is just human. It's humanly impossible. You're going to falter somewhere. You're not going to really be able to deliver the same level of quality or the same level of reliability absolutely 100% of the time. It's just purely not possible. And I'm saying that to say that that's actually been part of my recovery process, having that in mind when it comes to my dealings with people who have crossed lines or who have crossed boundaries or have just outright betrayed in some cases. Understand, looking at them and be like, yo, if this was truly a mistake or a lapse in judgment and it's found to be such, can I build back with you? If you demonstrate that you want to build back, and it's something that I see value in as much to build back, yes, you can get back to that with this one caveat. I now understand what it feels like for you to cross the line with me. Doesn't mean that I'm going to give you absolutely everything again. In some cases, I think it's possible. Does it take work? Absolutely. Do you need to be able to put a concerted effort towards both the reliability and consistency factors in order for that to happen? Yeah, but it is possible. It's just the relationship with the added knowledge of, hey, we faltered here. And I'm saying that both on one side of the coin as being somebody who has been betrayed, and also on the other side of the coin as somebody who has crossed the line with other people. If it's something that I wanted to fix and they also want to fix, I have to demonstrate a sense of empathy and a level of actual conscious commitment to say to this person, I understand how I crossed the line. I understand the pain or the uncomfortability that you are feeling. I might not be able to put myself 100% in your shoes on it, but like Nini was saying, the effective communication gives us the ability to at least get a good grasp or at least get a good understanding of what the other person is experiencing. And if it is something that we do wish to repair or recover from together, that I have to understand that whatever it is that you now need, because what you needed before the incident is before I betrayed you, is now a little bit different. You might need a higher level of reliability now, because not only do I have to give you what I was giving you prior to that, but I also have to give you the reassurance that I can, and then I have to be mindful of the consistency. I have to be mindful of it. It doesn't mean that I have to necessarily change what what my level of consistency was, but it does mean that I have to demonstrate my awareness of what is needed now in the consistency area. And that probably has to even be part of the conversation, like, hey, next time you bring this to me, I got you. If this is what you're saying that you need, next time you bring this to me, I got you. All right. And then being able to make good on that. So it's one of the reason why I put this question out there is, like, we have a lot of people, and of course it's always based off of a lot of what's happening in society right now. We have a lot of instances right now where people are like, cross me once, I'm done with you. Cross me once, I'm done with you. Just point blank, this, that, and the third. And it's like, we're doing this whole thing of, oh, I gotta protect my peace, I gotta protect my sanity, I gotta protect my, I gotta remain centered in this, that, and the third. And you have people that are throwing away salvageable, relationships. And I understand that you can believe that it's not salvageable. I'm not trying to take that away from you, but in an objective sense, if you were to look at all of the factors that went into the betrayal, a majority of people could look at certain situations and be like, you could have fixed that. The other person, even to go so far as to say the other person wanted to fix it, and you won't even give them a shot. So it's like, if it was malicious, that's one thing, right? And even then, for somebody to have done it maliciously and then realize, yo, that's really fucked up what I did, and come back and try and offer you an olive branch, and then you slap it back in their face. It's like, there are some things that can be salvageable that people aren't even putting forth the work to try and salvage. And this is one of those soft skills that can actually, help keep us moving forward, because there are people that have crossed me that I have been able to salvage the relationship from, and then through that continued, through that repaired and then continued relationship, I've stood to learn some really, really invaluable lessons from, that I might not have gotten until later on, had I just been like, oh, you did me wrong, I'm done, I'm out. Lose my number, blocking you on social media, all that stuff. Don't come by my house, do nothing like that. Don't talk to none of my family members. Don't talk to my exes. Whatever we say. And had I gone that route, there's some life that I dare say there's some life lessons that I could have missed by not having done that. And that's part of why I say that. I reached out to a friend of mine who I had kind of crossed a couple years ago, and it was about 3 years ago, and then maybe 2 years ago, I reached back out. We were still in relative contact, and I reached back out to them. It's like, I just hit them with the direct question, like, yo, can we work on this? And they said, it was like, yo, we can try. And just in having that conversation, yo, we're good now. Like, we're good now. So it boils down to a willingness. One of the foundational things that I would say is part of the recovery process is the willingness. You have to be willing to.
Is that relationship the same?
It is not exactly what it was. It is still beneficial though. It's still helpful. it's still reciprocal. It's still beneficial. Do we talk about absolutely everything that we used to talk about? 95%. 95%. And I can deal with 95%. I'm okay with 95%. Like, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Pascal, you have hand up. Something that.
Okay. I just have a question. Okay, I heard everything you just said, right?
Yeah.
So you're basically saying you are willing to risk discomfort to bridge a gap. Like, to me, I'm going to tell you what it sounds like. It sounds like discomfort and compliance and empathy. None of them are necessary to me, you know, and I'm talking from a space where people have at some point or another, like, everybody has their own personal experiences, but for one person, you know, okay, you didn't do the damage. The damage was done to you. So now you have to be uncomfortable to repair a relationship? Oh no.
Was that for me or Chad?
I think was that a general question or okay?
That was both.
Okay. Of course, framing this from a coach's perspective, not all uncomfortability is unnecessary. There are instances of uncomfortability that yield growth. I'm going to use the workout example. You go to the gym and you bust your ass, you're sore, and you're like, I'm feeling sore in places I didn't even know I had muscles at. But there's a yield that comes from the uncomfortability. There's an intended result that comes from it. You get stronger, you become more healthy, you lose fat, you become more flexible, or whatever the goal is. But in order to get to that, there is this smaller frame of uncomfortability that you put yourself in order to get to that result. I look at some of the relationships that I've been in, and some of the relationships that I've helped other people with, where an overstepping or an outright betrayal has happened, and I can't jump on one side. As a coach, I can't jump on just one side or the other. I have to take in all the factors of what happened to me. Like, what's your evaluation of this? What was their evaluation? Do you know what their evaluation of it was? And that's where part of the empathy is kind of necessary, because it's like, you can't just go off of the impact of it. You have to go off of a combination of the impact that you feel plus the intent that the other person had, because if the other person didn't intend to have that happen, you can't walk around saying, oh, they meant to do it, this and the third, and because now you're lying on them. If that wasn't really their intent, and it really was truly a lapse in judgment, if it was a lapse in judgment and it's been proven to be a lapse in judgment, then you have to balance the impression that the incident made on you between their intent and the impact that it had on you. And if you don't really know, that's partly where the effective communication, like you said again, being able to even have the effective communication comes into play, because then it goes from you speculating to you actually knowing what was happening, and that allows you to make a better informed decision of how to proceed. Avoiding uncomfortability for uncomfortability's sake can actually be detrimental. It can actually be detrimental. Requiring compliance. I don't know exactly what you mean by the term compliance. Can you elaborate on that for me?
Unmute yourself,
Okay.
Pascal.
Yes. Compliance meaning, okay, well, okay, let me get, this is just a hypothetical. You had a friend for years, and you know, you've always, been there for them or whatever, and sometimes they're there. The consistency is not there. Okay, until there's a major event where you like really needed them, and they knew you needed them. That's why I don't ever think betrayal is misintended. I think because we have all the power of thought to be able to think things through and to think about our actions before we actually do them. Do we say things out of anger? Yes, we do. Do we feel a lot in the moment? Yes, we do. And I'm going to tell you something my dad said. There's two ways the truth comes out: in anger and in a joke. So you will know how somebody truly feels about you when you're in an argument with them, or they hit you with a sub through a joke, and you're like, wait a minute, okay, yeah, that didn't sound right. But either way, in a major event where you were expecting them to pull through and they knew you needed them, they decided, nah, I got something else going on, or I just don't feel like it.
And what is the compliance? I'm sorry, the compliance.
The compliance is you trying to, okay, let's figure out where we went wrong. What? Where I didn't, in my head, I'm saying I did not do anything. Therefore, I should not put my foot forward to you. You hurt me. Like,
can I ask you a question? Let me ask you a question. If, let's say, for example, this was your spouse, right? And something happened. I don't know, whatever that betrayal for you is, you wouldn't talk it through with your spouse to say, hey, this is what it is. And he says, let's talk it through. How can we fix this? You wouldn't take that step to marriage together?
I would, but Nina, I'm going to be very honest with you. It's hypocritical to me, because I could say, let's work on it. But my heart is saying completely something different. I'm angry. I'm like fuming. I don't know if I'm going to recover. And I have to stay with him knowing all this. And who knows when I'm going to heal from that. I'm being a hypocrite to him. That's the flip side of it. I'm telling him, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through it. Meanwhile, my mind is like, yeah, we'll see, and whether it's in the moment, and everybody, don't get me wrong. Everybody behaves differently when things happen. Everybody reacts differently. Again, I could only speak for me. I hold on to things. And I know that's a problem. I will be like, I need you to fix it. I need to see some type of changed behavior. Absolutely. I need you need to do a total 360, and you don't have much time. Right. Because I have one foot out the door. My toe was holding the door open. Don't let me put the whole foot out. You see what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, and this is what I'm saying.
But if that change happens, would you then stay? And what is the difference in that change happening in a marriage and then in a friendship if you're having that same type of conversation, especially if it's a friendship that you held deep, close to your heart?
I'm just saying that once trust is broken, it's broken.
Okay.
Once trust is broken, you are at a point of no return. It's like, how do you go back to trusting somebody who broke you by breaking your trust? There's a series of emotions and levels, and some people take it super, super deep, and it's like, you talk about, I have a friend going through it right now. She hasn't eaten in a week, and her husband is still in the house. He's still going about his day.
this woman is dying inside. Like, even though they had to talk like, oh yeah, I promise I'm going to do better. It wasn't meant to be that way. She didn't mean nothing. My friend lost 15 pounds in a week. Is that okay?
No, not on any scale.
Like, I'm looking at her like, sis, you're going to go to the hospital.
But one of the main points that one of the big points that I think Nene and I are pushing here is like going back to the explanations. Like, we're not saying that every relationship is salvageable. What we are saying is that on a case-by-case scenario, you have to look at what the factors are that go into, what your evaluation of the person is, what your evaluation of their reliability is, how high is the reliability factor, what's the valuation of that to you, how high is the consistency factor. Because if I'm just reaching out to you once a month and you come through on that, and then there's a month that you fall off, I might be able to, of course I still have to go through my checks and balances to see what contributed to that. But if I'm coming to you every day for something super duper important, and then you fall off for like a week, where you're not reliable, that's different. So it's a lot of, again, with almost every topic that we bring here, there are a lot of moving parts to it. And we say, you're going to have to do the work to evaluate each of them to see what the rate of salvageability is for it. I can't take every single betrayal and be like, oh, you betrayed me, I'm done. Oh, you betrayed me, I'm done. Oh, you betrayed me, I'm done. I can't do that.
I mean, the person who does that, I just feel, Chad, the person who does that has been betrayed. It's become a culture. It's like, and there are people who, no matter how much they do for somebody, there's, it's like, here we go again, and then they keep, and those are these people who, no matter what is done to them, they're going to continue to be there for that person. Those are the people I'm talking about, that turn around and one day and wake up and say, I'm done. And be like, and that I'm done is continuous, towards everybody who's ever done. Like, it's extreme. It's like, yeah, I'm tired of being the pin cushion, punching bag.
I want to touch on something that you just said.
Yeah.
That you just said. And speaking of, and I want to make sure that I'm phrasing this correct. For people that consistently suffer betrayal, did I hear you mention something like that? Okay. This is probably going to be a somewhat uncomfortable opinion for me to say. If I encounter somebody who is consistently having instances of betrayal, I then have to look at the person who is feeling betrayed and who's like, what lesson do you need to learn from this? If you are constantly finding yourself in instances where you are feeling betrayed, because if it's that chronic, simply put, the common denominator is you.
Yeah.
So then I gotta be like, okay, what are you doing then? Because
a lot of empathy.
if a family member did it to you, and then a friend did it to you, and then a coworker did it to you, then a significant other did it to you, and it's just chronically happening, and the common denominator is you, because none of these people are the same person. But the only person who's the same person in all of those instances is you. Then I have to look at you and be like, yo, what do you like? What is? Then I have to look at you and start asking questions about what your evaluation is and how you're looking at this. I have to start asking questions about your sensitivities. I have to start asking questions on even some metaphysical questions like, what do you think life is trying to teach you?
Yeah.
By the notion of you consistently encountering this. And that can be an uncomfortable situation. That can be an uncomfortable situation. That can be a very uncomfortable conversation to have. But it's a very real thing. So if you are encountering, not you specifically, but anybody who would come across me saying, well, everybody keeps betraying me, and everybody keeps knocking me. And I was like, everybody? And you've been able to give me enough evidence that it is chronically happening. I'm not looking at everybody else. I'm looking at you now.
Well, okay. I just want to say something to the examples you mentioned. You said if it's a family member, if it's a coworker. Okay, here's the situation. If you have, okay, I'm like the phrase I'm going to use is the bond that ties. Those are situations that a lot of people feel they have no control over. If it's your mother, if it's your father, because that your mother is your mother forever. It's like, you know, and I've heard a lot of people say, no matter what she's done, I can't turn my back on her. You know, no matter what she's done, I still have to be there for her. You know, as far as the job, I cannot lose my job. This is how I feed my kids. This is how, and it's not a matter of, well, you could go find something else. There could be a reason why that person will stay there and repeatedly take punishment instead of to displace herself to go find something else. It could be timing. It could be finances. You know, there's a lot of reasons why people take the punishment that they take from people, which is outside of their control. So, you know, I mean, we could look at the person, but we also have to look at there could be extenuating circumstances. You know, it could be her.
This is why I say there are a lot of moving parts to it.
Right. You know, like a lot of people, especially in the family dynamics, listen, you can't break this family dynamic for nothing. That's your brother. You suppose, I don't care what happens. You know, I don't care what he did. You got to be there. You know, just close your eyes to it all. Meanwhile, this dude is beating you in the head with a bat. And you got to sit there and take it. Because the family says the family has to stay together. I'm just putting it out there. There's you know, there's a lot of things that's like surrounds that, which is why a lot of people, they come out real. I know this is probably the most overused word. Come out real toxic and have a lot of trauma embedded in them because of that mindset, because of the mindset, no, you can't walk away. It is what it is. Take it.
I hear you.
You know,
I definitely hear you. I'm gonna take. I will use that as a good segue for us to go into our coaches corner moment. This was one that we. It was. I knew it was going to cut quick to the bone with how we were framing it and stuff like that. So, Mimi, real fast, your coach's corner moment on this. Just your final thoughts on this.
I think, and I mentioned it earlier, I think that in any type of betrayal, or if you felt betrayal, if you betrayed someone or whatever, I think effective communication could fix it. Not saying that it would take the relationship back to where it was. You may have that conversation and decide, okay, the cut was too deep and we must move on, but at least the conversation was had and both people walk away knowing exactly how the other person felt. Or it could bring the relationship back to not necessarily where it was, but back to a degree of where you could still be cordial with each other, which I think we all need. Some, you know, we need people. You know, we're people, we're humans. We need people around us, and not saying that person again is going to be the same level of friendship, but I think it could potentially fix something that's not necessarily completely broken.
Facts. Facts. My final thoughts on this would really be kind of a slight reiteration of what I was sharing earlier. It is a very real and very unavoidable part of life that we're going to encounter instances and situations where those who we trust, those who we rely on, those who we find a measure of consistency with, are going to they're going to falter, either intentionally or not. And it is up to us to figure out, not just to go simply off of the knee-jerk reaction of it, but I believe it is truly our God-given right and privilege and our job to look at what the factors are for each of these things, and then to be able to determine. And then you also have to some degree take in the other person's mindset on this. If they're coming back to you, let's say that, if they cross the line and they're coming back to you and they're like, I realized I overstepped. I realized I fucked up. I want to work this out. I want to fix this. What do I need to do to fix it? And then they follow through on it. That's something that you have to take. That's something that you have to take into consideration. You can't just go purely off of your feelings and off of the hurt or the residuals that comes from that. You really have to take each of these as a case-by-case scenario, because it's not even the same, except in the case where it is literally the same person hurting you over and over again. If it's betrayal coming from different sections, you're going to have to take them with on a case-by-case scenario and figure out what to do with each of them going forward. I would never suggest one reply to all type of mentality, like, as soon as you betray me, I'm out, fuck you, we're done. Check that, because there is such a thing as a mistake. There is such a thing as an error in judgment, and all of us are capable of having errors in judgment. So just taking that into consideration when it does happen, not ignoring your feelings, but not ignoring the logic that has to go into it either. Really just doing your best to find the healthiest, the wisest, and the most loving route to go, both for yourself and for whatever other parties are involved. That would be my suggestion on that. That will actually wrap up this topic for this week. Want to thank my co-host, as always, for being the sport that she is, and of course to you guys, the forum, and all of you that are going to be watching on the replay and stuff like that. You can always check us out on our page on YouTube. You can send any questions or comments to us directly here on Facebook, either one of us here, or you can email us at himherspaces@gmail.com with any of your questions, concerns, or show ideas, of course, as always. Next week, this is something that we've actually touched on in quite a few ways tonight: the need for effective communication. It almost makes me want to jump on my soapbox right now, because I'll be like, I see so many bad versions, like Sixth Sense. I see dead people. I see bad communicators. It's horrible. Oh God, it's both scary and angry. but it also serves as a very powerful motivator for us to want to really dive into it, and get a good baseline for what it really is. What really goes into effective communication? Because we need it. We need it. It's now more than ever. We need that shit. So hope you guys are able to come through for that. We will see you next week for that, right here on Him and Her Talk Space, where as always we have 2 coaches, 1 space, and 0 reservations. You guys have a wonderful night. God bless you, and namaste. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.